I gotta go up there, and Freddy's all tanked up, and he's lured everybody up to the Voodoo Lounge.
We're trying to get the anchor. It's all these surges. We might lose the anchor.
All right, guys, let's talk to it.
Roger.
Minutes ago, in a heart-stopping turn of events on the high seas, Captain Monty Colburn faced a daunting decision on his final trip, the firing of Freddy Maugatai, who was missing in action when needed most. With the Wizard already shorthanded and behind schedule, Monty had to take charge, proving his leadership in the shadow of his brother. Now, with Freddy gone and chaos threatening to break loose, the fate of the ship hangs in the balance. What challenges lie ahead for the Wizard and its crew? The strange struggles of Dutch Harbor. At Dutch Harbor, a question hangs in the air about the whereabouts of Freddy, but remains unanswered. His presence is uncertain either outdoors or concealed elsewhere. The 155-foot vessel, the Wizard, faces a shortage of crew members. Captain Monte Colburn had stipulated a rendezvous time of 10:30 in the morning, yet by 11:30, Freddy remains at the bar. The strain is palpable on Captain Monty, especially with deckhand Freddy Maugatai absent. Exhaling in frustration, Monty contemplates the troubles brewing early in his command, troubles he had hoped to avoid just as his tenure began following his brother's departure. As Captain Monty's radio crackles to life, a static-filled voice breaks the silence. "Captain, come to the harbor office. There's trouble with Freddy."
It's too late. Do you want his job dirty?
I do, but it's Freddy, man.
Freddy needs to miss a trip.
The baton of leadership had recently passed to Monty from his elder brother Keith, leaving him to navigate his initial challenges swiftly. Confronted with the decision, Monty wonders aloud about the day's plan, with intentions to set sail in 3 hours, harboring a faint hope that Freddy would rejoin them timely. Resolute in his stance, Monty dismisses any tolerance for the current predicament. Unbeknownst to him, Freddy has settled on remaining at the bar until its closing at 2 in the morning, inadvertently drawing the entire crew to the Voodoo Lounge. Should Freddy fail to appear ready, Monty resolves to delay their departure, stay overnight if necessary, and seek a new crew member by dawn. But this isn't the biggest problem. Monty finds it hard to believe Freddy would stick to his decision to stay in town. He wonders if Freddy would have dared do this if his brother was still in charge, but he doesn't think so. Determined, Monty gets ready to face the situation head-on. "All right, let's go find out what's going on. Guys, are you ready to go or not? Are you ready to go fishing or not? It's time to leave. That's all you need to decide. It's getting late, so are you still planning to keep working?" It's a tough call because of Freddy. He's going to have to miss this trip, and that's the problem. If Freddy can't come, I'm ready to go without him. Let's get moving, okay? Where's your gear? It's downstairs. Let's grab it and see what Captain Monty has in store for us. We should be on our way by 10:30. Life's too short to waste time. What's the time now? I'm trying to get everything planned out here. The situation was indeed difficult. Freddy's pictures of his child adorned the wall, and they needed to be taken down. The emotional weight of removing someone's personal belongings was heavy, a task never previously encountered.
Life is too short.
What time is it?
I want to enjoy life.
However, the captain's orders were clear and non-negotiable. Action was necessary. There was no option to simply stand by and watch. With a sense of urgency, the team was prompted to move and carry out the orders. It feels like everything's changing. My brother Kevin is gone, and now Freddy too. It's a lot to take in. The conversation shifts to the problems the crew is facing on their ship. They talk about how even though Freddy is a skilled member of the team, his absence won't stop them from carrying on. The crew feels confident that they can handle things without him on their 155-foot ship, the Wizard. The day starts with Captain Monty facing a tough challenge without his usual crew. Triumphs at sea. Captain Monty Colburn is feeling the pressure as he leads the crew on their final trip of the season. They still have 40 traps left to check in a spot they haven't visited in almost 10 days. The last time they were there, Monty's brother was with them, helping focus their efforts in that area. Now Monty has to return to these waters alone, hoping there are still plenty of crabs to catch. To make things harder, the ship is also missing one of its most experienced crew members, Dean Freddy Maugatai. Freddy has made some questionable choices lately, like staying out late and neglecting his work. Just a few hours ago, frustration reached its peak when he decided to stay at a bar until 2 in the morning, even though he knew he had to be ready for work. Monty had to find a replacement for Freddy, so he brought in Jerry "Dirty" Wilson, a former deckhand from the saga. Jerry was close by and available, which seemed like a stroke of luck for the team. The crew was feeling hopeful, eager to see if Jerry would fit in and perform well. As they got back to work, things began to improve. Some of the traps came up with a good number of crabs, lifting everyone's spirits. The crew pushed ahead, hoping this new addition could be the boost they needed to end the season on a high note. It was nearing 2 in the morning and one of the crew members checked his watch. 2 in the morning again, he said, shaking his head. The others agreed this was the moment they had been waiting for all night. The pace picked up and the machines roared to life. One crew member, feeling confident, joked, "Taking risks usually pays off." He meant it, especially now. "Think about it," he added. "We picked up a guy from the beach to work at this hour. Could have been worse." He wasn't wrong. Jerry was handling the chaos like a pro. "Check this out," another crew member shouted. "We've got over 100 crabs here." The numbers were impressive. 162 crabs. We're on fire tonight. The excitement grew with each trap pulled up. "You've got to love this," someone said as they hauled in more crabs.
Oh, beautiful crab, I'm loving it.
The bright red ropes added to the energy as they neared the end of their shift. But the night hadn't been easy. As their work came to a close, they reflected on the challenges they'd faced. They had lost half of their expected catch and battled rough seas, but now, pulling in the last crab pots, they felt relief and pride. Despite everything, they had managed to haul in nearly 1 million pounds of crab. The job was done, and the rewards were huge. Each crew member was set to earn $62,000. "Look at these crabs, they're amazing," one said, admiring the massive haul and feeling a deep sense of accomplishment after the long, tough night. Near St. Paul Island, tension was rising as the ocean's power became clear. The waves grew bigger with every minute, creating a terrifying scene. Captain Jake, jolted awake by the violent rocking of the ship, saw the sea's fury. The anchor chain was barely holding and the ship's safety hung by a thread. The ship rocks violently as Captain Jake faces rising waves and rising tension. Navigating the fury. Winston, sensing the danger, quickly got the crew moving. The seriousness of the situation was clear as the waves pounded the ship harder and harder. The urgency was almost like a silent scream, pushing everyone to their limits as they fought against the raging ocean. In the midst of the chaos, Captain Jake realized he had forgotten something crucial to tell his team. The anchor, which was built to hold in tough conditions, wasn't strong enough to handle the giant waves crashing against them now. This mistake made their already difficult situation even more complicated. The crew worked together, scrambling to secure the anchor as the powerful waves threatened to take it away. Each wave was a reminder of just how powerful the ocean could be, and each one had the potential to cause a disaster. But that wasn't the worst part. Alarming news of a massive wave heading their way only added to the tension. The crew braced themselves for the impact, feeling the relentless pressure of the sea's attack. They were on the edge of disaster. Captain Jake had to act quickly and carefully. He needed to keep adjusting the ship's position to make sure the strain on the anchor didn't become too much. A single wrong move could rip the winch right off the ship and send it flying into the water with dangerous force. Guiding the ship through these rough waters required careful watching of the anchor cable's direction. There was no room for mistakes, and every choice, every adjustment was crucial. The crew faced the open sea's fury, hoping they could make it through without harm. An odd incident unfolded. People were cautioned to maintain a safe distance from a malfunctioning machine, increasing the risk of an accident. The scene grew chaotic with loud voices clamoring, urging everyone not to obstruct the vital equipment. As the problem with the machine became apparent, concern escalated into shouts to step back for safety, fearing it might break down further and pose a danger. Amidst growing noise and confusion, frustration surged as everyone grappled with the malfunction. Just when the situation seemed to deteriorate further, the clamor of machinery and voices hinted that help was approaching. In the thick of turmoil, one of the crew members sought to navigate their position through stormy seas.
It's gonna feel a little dicey there, guys. If you hear me yell, obviously take...
They managed the crab fishing boat, Time Bandit, heading northeast, striving to maintain control over the vessel. As time passed, the storm intensified, complicating the journey even more. Nevertheless, the crew's resolve did not waver. They acknowledged the challenge, pushing forward with a mindset focused on overcoming the difficult conditions. Amidst the storm, Captain Jonathan made a daring decision to switch to a new type of bait, hoping to boost the crab catch and, consequently, their profits. Despite the poor visibility, which made it almost impossible to see ahead, he remained committed to his strategy. The journey to their first fishing spot continued to be challenging yet fruitful. Safety remained a top priority, with clear instructions for the crew to proceed with caution to avoid any accidents as they approached the fishing grounds. They hoped the catch would be big enough. "We need about 250 crabs on average to fill up the boat. Let's hope there's enough here to make it worth it." As they got ready to see what they had caught, the anticipation built like a drum roll in their heads. After a hard night, the crew looks forward to today's catch with high hopes. An ocean's rage and reward. The catch was revealed and the crew felt a surge of excitement. The deck buzzed with activity as they examined their haul, hopeful about the profits ahead. Everyone was energized by the hard work paying off and the promising results. Their findings were remarkable. The catch looked to be worth hundreds, and the crew realized they had struck gold. Caution was urged as they moved forward, knowing that one mistake could cost them everything. They needed to stay focused, working carefully in their demanding environment. Safety was critical as they handled the catch. They were reminded to slow down, working methodically to avoid any accidents. The job was tough, but it was the reality of their daily grind. A sudden realization hit the crew. They were in a risky situation and things could get worse. The challenges mounted. A severe jolt shook the boat, rattling everyone. Team members were affected one by one except for one who managed to stay calm. Their hearts raced as they focused on surviving the tough night ahead. With their destination just a mile and a half away, they decided to take a brief break. An hour to rest and regain their strength seemed necessary after the long haul and heavy mental load, but their pause was cut short by a massive, unexpected wave. A 20-foot surge, driven by harsh southern winds, slammed into the boat. It crashed over their barriers, flooding the crew's quarters through the ventilation ducts. Clothes and beds were drenched, and their spirits sank as they realized they would have to start the next shift in soaking gear. Who would want to be fishing in such terrible conditions? But this was their job, and it had to be done. The sea was wild, with towering waves all around, making the crew feel uneasy. Despite the storm, they knew they had to press on. The first catch of the day was coming up. They had traveled 12 hours to reach the Russian border, spending heavily on fuel and pushing the crew to their limits. They desperately needed a big haul today to make it all worthwhile. Their hopes were answered when the captain's decision to set their gear near the border paid off. They hauled in tons of valuable fish, with one pot containing 500 in a single pull. The crew realized they had found a hot spot and they needed to work quickly before the fish swam into Russian waters. Muni Kinnan, a deckhand soaked from head to toe, remained cheerful. He believed they were doing great, and his optimism lifted everyone's spirits. Despite the cold, the excitement of a successful catch made the tough conditions more bearable. However, the hardest part was yet to come. The southern wind brought the first Alaskan boat near the Russian line, loaded with a massive catch. The crew had worked hard, but now they faced a bigger threat. An Arctic hurricane was brewing 290 miles northwest of Dutch Harbor. The storm was intensifying, and with 100,000 pounds of fish on board, it wasn't just about fishing anymore. Safety was now their top concern. With the storm around them, Captain Keith focuses on making smart moves to stay safe. A day in the life of crab fishermen. In these less than ideal conditions, Captain Keith is relying on his plan to set out a few prospect pots. He hopes this will help lighten the load on the boat. It's not the perfect time to be pulling up a crab pot, but we'll take all the safety steps we can to protect ourselves. We have to be very careful and stay safe out here. On the deck of the ship, the scene is like a busy car race pit stop. But instead of cars and tires, the crew is dealing with crab pots and cold ocean winds. Each crew member knows exactly what to do, lifting heavy crab traps out of the icy water and quickly lowering empty ones back in. The captain steers the ship from one good fishing spot to another, guiding them through the waves with the skill of a seasoned sailor. Each time a crab pot comes up, there's a sense of excitement among the crew. They are out in the open, exposed to the rough sea, but they work fast to spend as little time on the deck as possible. The roaring sea is a constant reminder of how powerful and unpredictable the ocean can be. Every time they pull up a pot, they hope for a big catch, and each time they drop it back into the water, they are renewing that chance. The work never stops. The crab pots slam against the deck, a heavy thud that shows both the weight of the catch and the hard work needed to secure it. The captain watches carefully, always alert, making sure everyone stays safe and the work gets done efficiently. The traps sometimes come up with just a few crabs, but every crab counts, bringing them closer to their daily goal. Time goes by in a constant cycle of dropping pots into the ocean and pulling them back up. Every cycle is a mix of careful skill and hopeful waiting. The crew moves in sync, every action timed perfectly to make the most of their hours on the water. The captain's voice cuts through the wind, shouting directions as they move to the next promising spot. But even in the quieter moments, the crew only has a brief break. They find a moment to catch their breath and get ready for the next round of work. The ocean shows no mercy, and the cold air bites at any skin left uncovered. Their heavy-duty gear is the only thing keeping the cold at bay. Hours stretch into a full day, and the number of crabs keeps growing. With each haul that brings in more crabs, the crew's spirits lift. They work together seamlessly, their movements now almost automatic, each person knowing exactly what to do. The ship shifts to a new location, and the captain feels optimistic that the next spot will bring an even better catch. Do you think the environmental impact outweighs the economic benefits of crab fishing? Like, comment, and subscribe for more.